What is going on, everybody? It's KB. Before the episode starts, make sure you go check out StreamerSZN's brand new theme music. That's right. We have full-time, brand new theme music thanks to the newest homie and newest member of the music side of Underground Sports Philadelphia homies. That is Mobley. Stay Volk. His new single is out now. It is linked in the description on YouTube, and you'll be hearing it on audio until we can figure out if we can play it on video on StreamerSZN episodes from here on out. That's our new theme music. Stay Volk. Go download it now wherever you get your music, and go check out the music video on YouTube. But now, let's get into the episode of StreamerSZN.
Philadelphia, baby, you're gonna love it. Best sports fans in the world. Actually, the worst, but that's what makes them the best.
Now, the real question is, are we in BC or AD? If you get that reference, leave a comment in the YouTube comment section.
No, Kyle. Or are we the imposter? Cue the Among Us music.
Is that really Christian? Or is this what we should have gotten with Secret Invasion? What is going on?
No, Kyle.
And now he's green. What is going on, fellow streamers? Welcome in to another edition of StreamerSZN, the exclusive streaming platform TV and movie podcast on the Underground Sports Philadelphia Podcast Network. It's KB and Christian coming at you with another week of the Sympathizer, the finale of XMen 97 Season 1. And we'll get into the streaming platform Multiverse upfronts, news and notes, because it was upfronts week across all the streaming platforms. We'll talk about everything that has rolled out from all the big streamers this past week, and what we can hopefully now finally feel some excitement about, or some disappointment, or both. But before we get into all of that, make sure you guys are following us on the socials at StreamerSZN on Twitter, Instagram, and Threads, and on StreamerSZN Pod. That's on TikTok. Follow Christian on Twitter at @thewiz_PHI. Follow me at KBIZZL311. Subscribe to the podcast feed on Apple, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts in audio form. Leave a 5-star rating and review. It helps the show continue to grow, helps us hit new milestones, helps more people find StreamerSZN and Underground Sports Philadelphia. And, of course, subscribe to the Underground Sports Philadelphia YouTube channel, youtube.com/@UndergroundSportsPhiladelphia. That is where you get full video episodes of this show, full video episodes of every show on our network, clips, shorts, live streams, original video content. It is all on our YouTube channel, youtube.com/@UndergroundSportsPhiladelphia. Smash that like button, ring the bell icon, leave a comment down below. We are at 793 subscribers right now. Let's get to 800. Let's get to 900. Let's get to 1,000. Then we can go plaque chasing. So subscribe to the YouTube channel, youtube.com/@UndergroundSportsPhiladelphia. And, of course, guys, get your merch from our awesome merch partners at PHI Apparel Company. Exclusive StreamerSZN merch, T-shirts, hoodies with the logo on it. The StreamerSZN hoodie is one of the coolest pieces of merch that you can own. It's unique. You're going to stand out in the crowd with it, whether you're going to the movie theater, Netflix and chilling, hanging out for a movie night with your friends and your family. You're going to look great. You're going to stand out. Go to phiapparel.co and use code UNDERGROUND for 10% off your merch orders. Most effective and direct way to support everything we're doing. So go to phiapparel.co and use code UNDERGROUND for 10% off your merch orders. Christian, the Sympathizer, another week in the books. How are we feeling at this point in the season?
I'm ready to see how this finale goes, because as I said about 2 weeks ago, at this point, this is clearly ending up with them back in Vietnam, and they're going to end up back in Vietnam, and it's going to go wrong, and he's going to get captured. But how we get to the point where we're at now is what I find the most interesting, because as we'll talk about in this episode, He's losing his fucking mind.
So here we go. At the base, the captain is told by many of the soldiers that the general plans to send them to Thailand for a special mission, wherein they will move into Vietnam. Bond plans to volunteer despite the captain's warning that the mission is near impossible. Where's Tom Cruise when you need him? To win.
Boom.
He later visits an office to talk with Ned Godwin, played by Robert Downey Jr., asking for a new assignment. Godwin gets the captain to work with his wife Rita, while the captain also gets in touch with Sonny, played by Alan Trong. And when the captain complains to the general over sending Bond on the mission, to the mission, the general takes him to a lake in the outskirts to explain his decision, claiming Bond has nothing to lose. He asks Mon to help, but he is unwilling to compromise the mission, noticing that Sonny and Sophia, played by Sandra Oh, are now having a relationship. He invites Sonny to explain to him his frustrations, and he opens up about his real identity and admitting that he has been tasked with spying on Sonny himself to discredit his writing as well as killing On. He subsequently kills Sonny with a homemade weapon and steals his writing about the general's mission. At his apartment, the captain burns Sonny's manuscript, but the sudden arrival of Bond causes him to prevent the whole manuscript from being burned. Later, he visits Sophia just as she is questioned by the police over Sonny's death, and after they leave, Sophia makes it clear that she suspects the captain was involved. She also reveals that she knows about his espionage background, as Sonny told her that the captain was his source, and he said he would meet him at the same time as his official death time. She gives him a fake alibi to flee, asking him to never return. The captain then visits the general, asking to be part of the mission. The episode ends as the captain and Bond leave the United States on an airplane, with the captain now hallucinating the presence of On and Sonny.
He's now haunted by two ghosts.
All on his Scrooge, Ebenezer Scrooge grind.
Yeah,
where's the third ghost?
It's inside his soul. Yeah. Okay. Anyway, but I fundamentally found this episode the kind of descent into madness episode in a loose way to phrase it, where the captain is very much a man who's fully stuck between two worlds and is panicking and doesn't know what to do. And the world he thought he knew is spinning out around him. And he's losing the control he once had when he was back in Vietnam, because the Major's gone independent, Bond has gone independent. He's beginning to question On if he actually exists. And I can't wait to see how this ends. I am kind of with you in terms of vibes-wise, it's a little weird. This entire series has been a little weird, but also that's kind of just the Park Chan. That's kind of the Park Chan look of it all to me, because for people who have watched his films, they're not always that straight. They're not always something that makes a whole lot of sense. And they're very much oniony in terms of things layered on layers on layers. And I hate saying this every week, especially over the recent few weeks. But is Robert Downey Jr. the worst part of this show?
He's definitely, like we said last episode, a big distraction. And I don't know if I don't think it's him per se.
No.
But I think it's just the writing of the characters that, like, it's just very, like, tangential and brings you kind of out of orbit with the show.
One specific character beat I would like to note, and I may be butchering this because it really kind of flew by quick for me, But the Robert Downey Jr. professor character,
Hmm.
unless it just breezed by my head there, he was basically working at the university under a pseudo fake name, and he's really like anti-Asian, right?
I think so. That's how I.
Which that's a very interesting bit of the Robert Downey Jr. is the evil white man trope,
Mhm.
which speaking of that senator character, it's very modern politics where we have a white older guy and he has a Cuban wife. He's trying to make friends with this, and he really just hates them all. Yep,
That's on brand.
it's on brand.
I do have the critic write-ups from the AV Club, Vulture, the Daily Beast, and Esquire
For this week, damn.
for this episode. So the Oriental Mode of Destruction received very positive reviews from critics. Tom Phillip from the AV Club gave the episode a B+ grade and wrote, "Well, that was fast. Even for a show so eager to reconfigure and relocate itself episode by episode, it still feels like next week's finale and the captain's return to Vietnam has suddenly snuck up on us a little with so many dangling curiosities we for sure won't get all the answers for. Will we ever see Lana, Sophia, or non-Claude Robert Downey Jr.'s again? It seems unlikely, some more so than others."
Sounds about right.
Terry Nugent of Vulture gave the episode a 4-star rating out of 5 and wrote, "The penultimate episode opens with a series of quick cuts. Hardly any of the shots linger for more than a few seconds. The captain is descending the hill behind the general to greet the insurgent refugee army." Directed by Mark Munden, the 6th episode returns to the espionage-style plot at full steam, regaining some of the momentum and style of the first 3 installments.
I'd call that factual.
This one's from Fletcher Peters of the Daily Beast, who wrote, "The general approves captain's request to join the militia. He and Bond prepare by promising themselves that they'll get to see Mon again someday soon. Then they board a flight, shaking and fearful of what's to greet them in their home country." Very basic synopsis there.
You don't say.
And then Josh Rosenberg of Esquire wrote, "The job is physically taxing, sure. You have to kill someone every now and then, but espionage is mostly a mental game. It's not only about keeping a secret, but also about constantly upholding a facade. Exhausting, right? In this penultimate episode of The Sympathizer, the captain is feeling the strain of his particular line of work. He reaches his breaking point, but it's just one of many to come."
Yeah, I think that's a great summation of that. I would just like to say that one of probably my favorite little recurring bits throughout the show is after the captain kills someone. They're always just haunting him with the biggest smile on their face. Making the most stupid face possible, and something I just greatly appreciate how the show almost just commits to the bit of a man being absolutely haunted by his past. And I think kind of weirdly, if you think about it, where you talk about who is the third ghost, is his mother the third ghost? Because if you think about how big of a role she plays, especially throughout the first parts and how in all the flashbacks to his childhood, it's an interesting point.
Yeah. I like it. Let us know.
Right now, let's close this up by how does this end? Is the captain killed?
I mean, that's an easy way to kind of remove some of the loose ends to a degree, but also adds more loose ends from him getting killed. Because I'm answer.
Well, I'm talking about him being killed in like the final shot, or or something like that.
I could see it. I could see that happening, like a final screen type of moment where everyone's like, "What the fuck?" Yeah, I could see that.
Because they made a whole thing about this being a suicide mission, though. I think about it now. There's an interesting interpretation of the concept of a suicide mission that they could engage with, in that this is a show about someone having two selves.
Mm-hmm.
So what if the suicide is the death of his quote unquote Western, not communist self? And it's the sole existence of his communist form.
I like that interpretation a lot.
Sympathizer. Let's see.
Let us know your thoughts in the YouTube comment section, to which we will shift gears to the finale.
Of
XMen 97.
3, 2, 1.
It's X-Men 97. The penultimate episode
No.
was last week.
Okay, sorry. There we go.
The whatever comes before penultimate was the week before, and this is the finale of a 3-part finale. Man, what a show. What a show.
I'm not no, there's a point I want to make, and I'm not going to bring it up now. But I think we need to have a serious conversation about who the star of the show is. And I'll bring this up as we start to talk more in depth about this episode. But yes, they landed the plane on this first season and ended it in a way where I'm instantly going, this is ambitious, and I look forward to seeing how they try and pull this off in the second season.
And apparently, after all the upfronts and everything, season 2 is in its animation state. So that's exciting.
I thought it was in the editing state.
Oh, it might be. I know it's like past the writing and all that good stuff. So that's exciting. We'll see where that winds up falling on the calendar. But without any further ado, part 3 of Tolerance is Extinction. With Wolverine critically injured, Xavier takes control of Magneto and restores power to Earth, fracturing Magneto's mind. This scene was awesome. I saw
Sick.
Eric Voss do like a really good analogy to what this was kind of like, because it was back in like the 60s. It was, younger Magneto, younger Charles Xavier, and them kind of going back and forth talking about if mutants were real or not. And Eric kind of likened it to two men coming out to each other, and just the nuances of animation that they used, and like how Charles used his brain to like come out to him and say, "Hey, yeah, I'm a mutant." And the line where he says, "Have you seen others?" And Magneto's just like, maybe. It was a really cool analogy. We'll link the breakdown in the description of the episode. But he fractures Magneto's mind, Jean connecting to the cosmic power of the Phoenix. Hello, Hachi Machi. But
one could say she was really on fire there.
She was
Ayo.
soaring, flying.
There's no star in the galaxy that she can't reach.
She places the collar on Bastion and restoring the Prime Sentinel's humanity, and reverses Sinister's mutant augmentations, which frees Cable. This scene was absolutely hysterical. From Sinister reverting back to like 150 plus year old
Morph.
Cretan weirdo to
Morph, copying his face.
It looks the same to me.
Yeah.
To Cable's arm getting ripped off, and then like splintering into tentacles and getting absolutely slapped in the face, was insane. We had a lot of cameos in this episode, Christian.
All right, so I watched this before you and my friend were able to, and I mentioned to both of you. There's gonna be an absolutely stupid 2 to 3 minute stretch where you're gonna be like, hey, and then it doesn't matter for the rest of the show.
Yes, but it was great fan service.
Yep. So, right, run it down.
By appearance, we get Silver Samurai. We get Captain America and Iron Man with the President of the United States. We get Daredevil. We get Doctor Strange. We get Black Panther and the Dora Milaje, and it is revealed to be T'Chaka, who is T'Challa's father. We get a cameo of Josie's Bar, which is the bar we see in the live-action Daredevil that was on Netflix. Then we get Cloak and Dagger coming through. And then we go to Russia, and we have the Russian brigade of Omega Red, Crimson Dynamo, and Darkstar, which I learned in Eric Voss's breakdown, Christian. Apparently, Marvel combined Crimson Dynamo and Whiplash to create Ivan Vanko in Iron Man 2. That's kind of the origins of his character that Mickey Rourke plays.
Interesting.
Then we get Psylocke and the Alpha Flight, which is the Canadian crew. We also hear from Cable that he looped through time 200 times.
Some real Groundhog Day energy there.
We also get cameos from Quicksilver and Mommy herself, the Scarlet Witch, without their faces being seen, as well as Polaris. And then we get Peter Parker and Mary Jane, which is huge because according to a bunch of stuff that I watched, the Spider-Man animated show from back in the 90s, Peter
canon.
finds out that he was dating a clone of Mary Jane, and the fact that he found Mary Jane is like, oh, that got resolved. Interesting. And we also get Flash Thompson in the background of that scene as well. What a wild gauntlet of cameos upon cameos in this episode.
It was a lot.
Doctor Strange using candlelight and Doctor Strange spells to perform a surgery. Seeing Daredevil in animated was really cool because apparently back in the 90s there was a Daredevil animated show that was pitched and got shut down because then they eventually worked on the Ben Affleck Daredevil live action, and that's what was adopted instead. Awesome cameos. Very, very fun to just react to every single waking moment of that happening. And I think it's a cool interpretation to show you that this is affecting everybody, not just the X-Men, not just mutants. Like, this is affecting everybody on Earth, and you see the different pockets of characters and everything, which I think was really well done. The X-Men fight to prevent Bastion from crashing asteroid M into Earth and causing a new extinction event, but it still plummets after the U.S. government launches missiles at the asteroid, hoping to destroy it.
Which I would just like to point out how during that entire scene, T'Chaka was the voice of reason, who was like, "We don't know anything about this thing. We don't know how it could affect. So please no."
Yeah. And then I saw a couple of people point out that the scene that shows T'Chaka on the screen to the right-hand side of him on another TV, potentially Nelson Mandela.
Well,
it's accurate.
Yeah, I was gonna say similar to the whole it being T'Chaka makes sense.
Yep. With Xavier's help, Magneto regains consciousness and sends the asteroid into space. It explodes, and most of the X-Men are presumed dead. Dead. 6 months later, after what they refer to as E-Day, which tells you everything you need to know about what the planet of Earth thought that this was going to be, and how they feel about mutants now, because the X Mansion had a padlock in the shape of an X in the front of it. Also had a bunch of memorial photos and vigils and everything. But we finally see Bishop again, as Bishop arrives and tells Forge that the X-Men are trapped in time, which Forge has an entire, like, witness protection board up of all of the X-Men, and a bunch of them are labeled presumed dead. But there's some interesting ones that aren't marked that seem like they are available to come through for Forge if he's building an X-Force team. But I think the other interesting notes that were on that board, I don't know if you saw them, Christian, Quicksilver and Wanda just said off-world, which was very interesting. So they're alive, but where remains to be seen. I saw some people pull stuff from the comics and try to line up, like, where things are right now in X-Men 97, where it could go from the comics and where those two characters were, which a lot of them were saying that they could be on that blue moon that we saw Rogue and Sunspot fighting Bastion on. But then we get the X-Men all displaced. The team split up into 3960 AD and 3000 BC, both of them in Egypt.
And technically speaking, in present time, if we want to count Forge.
Forge is in present time. Bo DeMeo, who was the voice of reason on this show before getting fired a week before the show debuted, mentioned that 3 of the X-Men who we see that are, like, presumed dead are just in the background of the 3960 AD world. So, like, they are there, and that's where they are existing right now. They're just in the background. So in 3960 AD, Cyclops and Jean are there. And a desolate future where they encounter Mother Ascani and a young Nathan, who they can tell who it is by his eyes, which I think is great storytelling there by the animators and the showrunner. So Mother Ascani, for the people at home, she is, pulling it up here, she is Rachel Ann Summers and comes from an alternate future Earth known as Earth 811, as seen in the Days of Future Past storyline from the X-Men, the Uncanny X-Men 141 and 142. And in this reality, the assassination of Senator Robert Kelly provoked the ratification of the Mutant Registration Act, leading to a dystopian future where the mutant hunting sentinel robots rule North America. Rachel was abducted by operatives working for Ahab, who used drugs and hypnotherapy to turn Rachel into the mutant hunting hound. She fulfilled her duties, but her psychic powers linked her to her victims, fueling her grief and despair until she attacked Ahab and scarred him. In return, he sent her to the mutant concentration camps. There, she befriended the surviving mutant rebels, including Wolverine, Magneto, Colossus, Storm, Kate Pryde, and her lover, the adult Franklin Richards. So that is who we see in 3960 AD. And then we also get the young Nathan, because it's obviously known that Bishop got thrown off his course, and that's why Cable's been stuck in that time loop.
Bishop was... Sorry, Cable was... No, sorry, Bishop. Bishop was time slipping?
Oh, is Bishop Dylan?
Yeah, Dylan. No. Is Dylan our Cable? God, that's Dylan's music.
And then we get Rogue, Nightcrawler, Beast, Charles Xavier, and Magneto in ancient Egypt in 3000 BC, where they meet En Sabah Noor. Christian, do you know who this is?
I'm Apocalypse.
The young version of Apocalypse.
Which I think we should say that then how they end the show is in present day. It's Apocalypse in the ruins of Genosha.
Present day Genosha. And he finds one of... This is a mid-credit scene, so if you missed it, there is a mid-credit scene for this episode. An Apocalypse, we get present-day Apocalypse, finds one of Gambit's playing cards in present-day Genosha. And Christian, by God, they are going with the 4 Horsemen of the Apocalypse storyline, and Gambit is going to be death.
Yep. I need to know how the hell they're going to write this in a way where it's not an absolute shitfest. Because we're doing a half-hour TV show and we're operating on 3 different timelines. And you're going to have to somehow have all of them be functioning and then bring them all together.
Which I mean, for this season, they did a pretty damn good job. Sure, it was only really like 2 timelines per se. Because you get the cable timeline, but you don't see too much of it. But I am very intrigued to see how they are able to tell that story, because the 4 Horsemen of the Apocalypse and Apocalypse being back in the fold is going to be fascinating to watch.
Yeah, he's kind of one of the villains that in the live action films, even though Oscar Isaac is a great actor, got a rough shake.
Mm-hmm.
So it'll be nice to see if they can actually nail it during this animated thing, then leading into hopefully in a post-Secret Wars world when God knows if Marvel even exists at that point.
Right.
We get an Apocalypse villain? I don't know.
Which, who's to say, I think we'll touch on it later too, but it is clear that, you want to speak of 3 timelines, Marvel's kind of going in a 3 studio direction now. So we'll see if anything else ends up playing into this one way or the other. I doubt it.
Yeah. One thing I want to talk about, and I feel like this is my core question of the show. Who's really the main character of the show? Kyle?
Are you speaking specifically this season?
Sure. Well, I mean, in saying this season, this is functionally a new iteration of the show, even though it's technically a continuation. So through one season, who's the main character?
Like, I didn't know if you meant like moving forward too, for what we haven't seen yet, obviously. I kind of have to lean Magneto.
Yeah, that's. I was watching the show and I was thinking about it, and I thought to myself, why are they giving Magneto everything good to the point where I'm genuinely thinking to myself, he's the anti-hero.
Mm-hmm.
And yes, he's the best character on the entire show.
Mm-hmm.
This is weird. I don't know what to think about this.
Yeah, it is a fun twist to what traditional superhero stuff is. Normally, you've seen different iterations of like rooting for the anti-hero, but not typically when they're surrounded by well-known and well-liked and well attracted to, in the sense of like gravitating towards characters like a Wolverine, like a Professor X, like Beast, and the list goes on and on. Everyone knows Magneto is like the bad guy, but season 1 of X-Men 97 certainly is the Magneto arc.
And the interesting thing that I got to think about is he has all the best lines. He has all the best speeches, and now that is arguably part of a function of Charles not being present.
Yeah.
But at the same time, given the state of the world, I would argue Magneto's the most compelling character, maybe in that entire X-Men canon. In terms of, even though this is the set in the 1990s for modern audiences.
Mm-hmm.
Am I crazy for thinking that?
I don't think so.
And so it just kind of has me sitting here going, I'm rooting for the guy who's ostensibly the villain every time who's ostensibly something who's strictly we trying to root for, even though he's the best character in the show, he's got the best points, and he's being a good guy. But it's an X-Men show. And as we look throughout the intro of the show, I know we love the classic intro, but it's always Magneto versus Charles.
Mm-hmm.
And now both of them are stuck in ancient Egypt.
Yep.
It'll be interesting to see how that plays, but one little thing I wanted to bring up, because this is me just being time travel movie pulled, and I'm like, I'm confuzzled. If they change the events of the past by interacting with the apocalypse, how does that then impact the present that they're? That's like, I'm like, I don't have the brain capacity to think through this at this current moment.
Yeah, and the 4 horsemen for apocalypse are war, famine, death, and pestilence. So we know death is going to be Gambit. War, it's kind of been the cards have been shown. That's going to be Magneto. He started the war of the world. Famine kind of feels like Storm, who kind of had her own little story arc and everything. And then Pestilence is, I think, up for debate a little bit, but I think will be, I forget who I saw, who people were saying, but basically it adds up to the 3 other members of the X-Men in this season that we saw kind of get thrown around as Omega level mutants, and then Apocalypse is the A. You have the Omega, and then you have your ending and beginning there of having just, the gods of, mutants and everything. But I was stunned that this was the direction things were going in a great way. It was so well done this entire season. Like you said, they landed the plane extremely well. It's what we've been yearning for from a Marvel show for so long.
Dare I say, bang!
X-Men 97 for 3.
Bang!
Your overall thoughts on the entire season, Christian? It was a wild ride in a lot of the best ways. We really never had anything negative to say about this show, which is rare. They did such a great job, and it was so entertaining, and I think it plays well. It's an animated show, but caters to adults very well. I think it probably catered to a younger demo just as well with the animation styles. Your thoughts on the season overall?
My thoughts on the season overall, I would kind of just say this. For a show that ostensibly been dead for how long, but everyone had the great nostalgia for, to bring it back and to make it a functionally great show, and probably the best thing Marvel has touched in a long ass time, is really a statement of how great the people behind it were,
Mm-hmm.
but also how clear the vision was for this project.
Yeah, it was entertaining through and through from start to finish. Um, there's so much that happens that you can probably sit down now and binge the entire thing and pick up on things that you missed on your initial watch. Um, Now, I know you're on the comic book scale here, Christian, but for the first time in a long time, we get to add to the review grades flowchart your X-Men 97 Season 1 overall grade gets a
On
what?
on the comic book scale, I'll give it a 9.5 because I can't fundamentally find this season perfect because it did kind of enter a lull state in the middle, and I still don't get the point of Motendo. Like, I know it's one half of one episode, but did we really need that to happen?
What, you don't like the video games, Christian? Come on, it was just a build-up to see Cyclops actually have a high-octane laser beam in this episode. If you're not watching on YouTube, you're missing out on the ultimate stank eye that Christian is dealing to me, and he probably wishes he had Cyclops' powers.
If we let Cyclops have the laser beam, things get worse and worse and we get a shittier product. We don't need these shitty filler episodes. Shitty filler half episodes. Just make the Storm episode one whole fucking thing. And I like this season a lot more. I know it's only half an episode, but what the fuck?
Mine comes from the animated series scale of television watching. I am also giving it a 9.5. Just thoroughly entertaining through and through. And I can't wait for season 2 of this show. And I know season 3 has already been greenlit, so we'll see how things transpire. But man, what a brilliant job to everybody involved on X-Men 97. Just a masterpiece of something that Marvel fans have been clamoring for quite some time. And just an entertaining watch from start to finish the last 10 weeks, or 9 weeks, I should say. What a fun ride. If you didn't watch it, go watch it. If you did watch it, rewatch it again and see if you pick up on anything you may have missed out on. So the overall grade is obviously a 9.5, which right now, obviously we hit our busy month next month, but right now, X-Men 97, highest rated project we have fulfilled so far this year. Without any further ado, Christian, it's upfront season, which means it's everybody's favorite segment. It is the streaming platform Multiverse news and notes brought to you by our awesome pals over at Kenwood Beer, the official beer partner of Underground Sports Philadelphia. It's a refreshing light beer, just 4.1% ABV, only 120 calories, just 8 grams of carbs. Kenwood Beer's got an awesome event going on in South Jersey as well for the rollout of Kenny's in South Jersey. Definitely check that out if you are in the area. Also go to the Kenwood Beer storefront, check out all the awesome apparel and merchandise that they have for sale to get your Kenwood fix on. Plus, you can use the Kenny Finder to see who's got Kenwood Beer on tap in the Philadelphia, Pittsburgh, Maryland, New Jersey, and Delaware areas. You can also get it at your local liquor store in those markets. Again, that's kenwoodbeer.com. Must be 21 or older to do so. And of course, please drink responsibly. Christian, this comes from Complex, and I just love getting a good laugh out of you. Ryan Reynolds says he's working on the Deadpool and Wolverine popcorn bucket. You just wait.
I'm sure I'll be the first one of the two of us to see it.
It is upfront season, and we have gotten a lot of news from a lot of streaming platforms on a lot of different projects. First things first, we will start with, from Entertainment Weekly, House of the Dragon producer on reducing season 2 to 8 episodes. Quote, "It wasn't really our choice."
Zaslav.
We have the official title for The Agatha Show and a premiere date. Agatha All Along premieres September 18th on Disney+.
Are we sure, though?
Allegedly. The other big thing to take away from this is obviously we've seen it on XMen 97. We've seen it on What If. Those are being classified as Marvel Animation. These television shows now on Disney Plus for Marvel are being categorized as Marvel Television, to which the people behind the scenes have said Marvel Television is going to be like you can watch one thing without having to watch another, and you can tap in whenever you want. There's not going to be anything that will, like, you don't have to follow along as each project comes out, and it won't mess up your knowing of the continuity.
Yay, they finally fixed it.
Ironheart releases in 2025 on Disney Plus, which I find very funny that they did like professional photo shoots and everything for that show all the way back in 2022.
There's a lot of things they do for that show in 2022.
We kick off 2025 with a bang as Daredevil Born Again will premiere March 2025 on Disney Plus. It will be 9 episodes long.
Hey, remember when it was going to be like 20?
Yeah, it was supposed to be like 18 episodes per season, but then they cut that into 2 seasons.
Those were the days.
Pulling up here the overall description of everything that Marvel released. But before I do, our gal, Christian, has been cast in the Fantastic Four for a secret role, and that is the one and only Natasha Lyonne.
Do you have a guess? Because I don't.
She is going to be playing her character from Poker Face in the MCU continuity. Mystery of the week. Starting off with who the fuck bought the Avengers Tower?
I'm in.
So the MCU projects set to release in 2025 are as follows: Captain America: Brave New World, The Thunderbolts, Fantastic Four, who knows, but Blade. Daredevil Born Again, Ironheart, and those are your 2025 projects as of now.
Over under 3.5.
I'll say over.
Over as in 4.
Yes.
Okay, just being clear there.
Slip still cashes. I'm trying to pull up the Marvel quote here from the Disney upfronts, but we also got the Marvel head of animation has teased Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man, which is the animated Spider-Man show coming to Disney Plus. Quote, "It's really going to surprise people. It is very much like a cut from that Steve Ditko era of the comics. It's Peter Parker back in high school, just trying to make it work, take care of his aunt, completely broke, and having to be a superhero. It's so essentially Spider-Man."
Hooray! If I may jump in here for one or two, something that I didn't include on my 2024 list because we didn't have any relatively firm confirmation of anything, but we are officially going to get Squid Game Season 2 in December. I didn't have this on my most anticipated list because it was gonna be a close call. I'm excited for this. It'll be fun. It'll be enjoyable. On the flip side, why the fuck are we getting Happy Gilmore 2?
Because it's got to be part of the Sandler verse. Come on. Think of the Adam Sandler universe on Netflix.
Adam Sandler, who I'm gonna make some people mad here for a second.
Oh boy.
I think he's just kind of overrated.
Oh no, Christian, no.
I don't get it. I'm sorry, I don't get it. I don't get it.
It's a dagger. That's a dagger to the heart. Supergirl, Woman of Tomorrow releases in theaters June 26, 2026.
Yeah, so I was talking to a friend about this. And for a moment I was potentially concerned, and then I realized I'm like, wait. James Gunn's not doing like 16 DC movies in a year, and he's already doing Superman and stuff in 25. So I think it's Supergirl and Batman would end up being the double that year, which I don't know. Sounds good to me, Kyle. Does it sound good to you?
Sounds good to me. You know what else sounds good to me, Christian? And we gotta do this show when it comes out. Nicolas Cage is officially set to star in the live-action Spider-Man Noir series on Prime Video. It's giving me big Mandalorian vibes of how they should approach it.
Uh-oh. Kyle Mandalorian vibes. Uh-oh. We're in trouble.
I like it. I'm excited. Spider-Man Noir live action with Nicolas Cage. Sign me up. Moving right along here, we got the first look at The Last of Us Season 2 releasing in 2025 on HBO.
As in we got 2 photos?
Yeah.
Which by the way, they're still filming that show.
Mm-hmm.
So
we got the first trailer for Dune Prophecy.
I am seated. Listen, here's the thing with Dune Prophecy. It's not being directed by Denny. It's not even being written by him. It's not even being created by him. He really kind of just has no involvement at this at all. But you look at it, and it has the Dune vibe. It has the Dune thing of their casting great-looking and classic European actors to play people who become Bene Gesserit witches. And there's politics, and there's intrigue, and there's Mark Strong, and I'm seated. Like I just want to talk through this. So the for lack of a better term, star of the show is acclaimed English actress Emily Watson. You also have Olivia Williams. You have Jodie May, who I don't know. Ify Hines, who's in Normal People. You have Mark Strong playing the Emperor, which he looks like he'd be playing a Emperor. And the 2 most notable things is, and I don't want to call them stunt castings because we literally learned about them and they are having recurring parts, but casting a superstar Indian actress and casting a South Korean actress in Taboo and Jihye. It's an interesting choice, and I'm interested to see where that goes, because they either could be them playing towards those markets, or it could be them actually doing a broader thing, which Yeah, sure. I'm down for it. One just personal one I'm quite mixed on. A John Wick spin-off movie is in the works. Bad. It stars the Donnie Yen character, set in Hong Kong. Good. Because here's my whole thing. I don't need more John Wick content. I just don't. I will happily take more Donnie Yen content because Donnie Yen's fun and he kicks ass. And you're giving me the Donnie Yen John Wick character? Fine. You're forcing my hand, but I'll take it, I guess.
I do have the direct quote here about the Marvel Television rebranding. So the new Marvel Television rebranding will allow audiences to decide what they want to watch without MCU continuity obligations. Quote, you can jump in anywhere. They're interconnected, but they're not. You don't have to watch A to enjoy B. You can follow your own preference.
But do I have to watch A to enjoy D or C?
They didn't list those letters, Christian, so I don't know if that plays into a factor or not. Vincent D'Onofrio told TVInsider.com that Daredevil Born Again originally had no connections with the Netflix series, but now has a lot after the creative overhaul. Thank Christ.
Good shit.
Good job.
Good job, guys. You did your job like you're supposed to.
You know what else they're fixing, Christian? Not that I give a flying fuck because I can't stand these movies. But the next Fast and Furious films might pivot and bring it back to the streets of LA and maybe make it a more intimate story. Wow, Fast and the Furious about car racing, bringing it back to the streets. Who would have thought?
And this shit. like Fast X is a cancer on society. Like, I'm sorry, but this was a movie that was talked about as being a part one of a broader thing, and it ends on him driving down a dam, and then the dam proceeds to explode. Are we supposed to expect that Vin Diesel's dead? Fuck off. Like, we aren't stupid.
Great quote from AP Entertainment from Ryan Reynolds on Hugh Jackman returning as Wolverine. Quote, I think we can all see now that Hugh is a liar, a bald-faced, horrible coward, and a liar.
Some fun news. Kyle, did I talk about the movie The Entertainment System is Down last time?
Don't think so.
Okay, so this is the next film by where is Ruben Östlund from? I should check that. From Swedish satirical filmmaker Ruben Östlund, who does a lot of social satire stuff. He has a movie coming out. Well, he has a movie that he's making called The Entertainment System is Down. It stars Kirsten Dunst, Keanu Reeves, and Daniel Bruhl. It's about the entertainment system stopping. It's about when the entertainment system stops working on a plane flight, and people have to deal with the worst thing in the world: boredom. That's going to be hilarious. And news came out that it's being distributed by A24.
My good pal via the tweet machine and somebody I would love to have on this show, Robbie Fox, host of My Mom's Basement at Barstool, tweeted this, and there's an ongoing thread. I will send you the first tweet so you can read through it, because the ever so glorious, highly regarded, critically nominated Madam Web is now on Netflix.
Kyle, so I was scrolling through that early earlier this past week, and I was thinking to myself, this is the perfect thing to have on in the background when I have to write my final paper. Because I was just working on a portfolio website, and I had Expendables 3 on in the background. I'm like, perfect. I originally tried to do the first half of the site while watching Crank. Crank was too interesting of a movie, so I ended up having to stoop to Expendables 3.
This is Robbie's first tweet of his thread. Going to partake in the weed and see just how bad Madam Web really is. To which here's the first tweet. Thoughts. First 10 minutes felt like a fan film. Spider twig people in the jungle are incredibly bizarre little perverts. Casting Adam Scott as Uncle Ben was a swing and a miss because when you call him Ben, I can't unsee Ben Wyatt. Never been shot at in Queens? Robbie then says, "This is shot, edited, written, acted like a show that would be on after House or Grey's Anatomy. What if we made a comic book movie, but modern network television vibes? Also, I'm pretty sure they just gave away the actual ending 20 minutes into the movie." Dakota Johnson always seems a little bit zanned out. That's not quite as bad as none of the villain's dialogue matching his mouth, though. Literally the room level ADR. Need to know what happened there, and a behind the scenes doc on how this whole movie happened.
Mm-hmm. Well then.
Yep. Incredible.
Kyle. In other news, because this now gives me a reason to force you to watch this show. We are getting a second and potentially third season of Shogun.
Yeah, I don't know how I feel about that after everything that.
Yeah, like it was a perfect first season of television, and the thing is, I follow one of the writers on Twitter, and they're basically like, we had an idea, and we talked to other people, and they're saying that they really like the idea that we have, and we're lucky enough to be now heading to Japan to try and write this. To which I'm like, and there's a great interview with them after the final episode aired on The Watch with Furboys Chris Ryan and Andy Greenwald, and they're both very smart people, and they both were very thoughtful in the changes they made from the adaptation. This is going all off the board. I'm scared, but it's Hiroyuki Sanada and Cosmo Jarvis, both of whom killed it in the show. I'm sad we will no longer have the character Yabushige. I'm not going to say what happened in the first season, but Kyle, I want you to watch this show because Shogun rules. Shogun's great. I'm slightly worried about season 2, but it's 2 or 3 years away at this point. If we're being honest, and I mean, if Disney decides to give FX a similar budget to make the show, I'm all here for it, man. Just give me it.
The Young Sheldon finale was watched by 8.9 million viewers, the highest viewed episode in 4 years. The memes about Young Sheldon ending that were on Twitter had me in stitches. Especially someone who quote tweeted, like, Young Sheldon ends tonight. Someone said, "Oh my fucking god, they killed him." And it was Young Sheldon just on the ground. Just dead. Absolutely impeccable content.
Kyle, have you heard about the Scully?
No.
So the lead actress from the Fallout show will star in a squirrel horror movie about a park attendant who must use her unique set of skills to survive a band of killer squirrels.
That just sounds like Zombie Squirrel Girl. What If Season 3 will likely be the next Marvel animation project to be released. Quote, that is the culmination of a trilogy. We're actually close to completing that one. We also got...
May I hop on the film nerd corner?
Pop.
Megalopolis.
Oh, yeah, I saw that long thread, and I was like, I ain't reading all that. I'm sorry
So-
that happened, or happy for you, bro.
So Francis Ford Coppola's greatest swing ever, where he self-financed a $120 million film, where he was reportedly sitting in his trailer smoking weed every day. Most of the VFX team ended up getting fired, among a litany of other things. And it has a great looking trailer, and at Cannes, it proceeded to be either this is a fucking mess or this is cool, but leading more towards the first of those two things. And I'm fascinated to see this because I will see it no matter what the reviews say. But I'm like, this was originally fringe Oscar talk, and now I can just toss it out and not have to worry about it.
To circle back, X-Men 97 Season 2 is currently in the editing stage. Brad Winderbaum has confirmed that the series will have a new head writer for Season 3.
Kyle, did we ever get the chance to talk about the second version of Cable? Sorry, pardon. The third version of Cable?
No, we didn't, but we did tweet about it.
Because we did talk about the second version last time.
Yep.
And not long after, it was announced Netflix, Apple, and Peacock will team up. Which the irony of that is that's the three companies that have the most money in all of this, aside from Disney.
Yeah, and then we also got the new joint streaming platform that will combine ESPN, TNT, and Fox Sports that will be called Venue Sports. It will be a streaming platform for Disney, Turner, and Fox that will release this fall.
Kyle, thoughts on Christmas Day on Netflix?
It's a cheeky bastard move by Netflix to put it on a streaming platform where it is nearly impossible to exit out of during a commercial and flip to the NBA.
Kyle, next one. Did you watch the Wicked trailer?
I haven't yet.
Mr. Musical Theater, how dare you?
I have waited. But I've seen reactions from a multitude of people, including our very own Casey Liberatore.
And I didn't see her reaction. What was it?
They're all rousing reviews.
So now I have to throw some coldish water in this. I don't need to see the entire movie in the trailer, guys. Respectfully, and I mean this wholeheartedly respectfully, because every so often there's a case where I go, okay, sure, like that's a trailer's fine being 3 minutes, 30 seconds, gestures at the trailer for the first Dune film. But if your trailer is longer than 3 minutes or 3 minutes 10 seconds, I'm convinced you don't know how to market the film you're marketing. Because if you can't get your point across in, let's just say, around 3 minutes, what are we doing here? we already have a short attention span as a culture. Unless you're a psycho like me and you're watching all the trailers, no one's going to sit there for 3.5 minutes to watch a trailer of Ariana Grande. God, God bless her for doing this, and Cynthia Erivo. Like no one cares enough. And Kyle, the funniest thing is, trailers that are that long don't get played in full in theaters because they're too long and they have to get trimmed. And I hate that because because if the long trailer is actually good, like in the case of the first Dune film, it's then shit when it's all trimmed up in theaters. I'm like, oh god. So this is my plea to the industry. I prefer y'all are under 3 minutes, but I'll take it like 3 minutes 10 seconds, please. And also respectfully, Kyle, you know this is Wicked Part 1, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Because spoiler alert, they're trying to pull the Dune thing of not saying Dune Part 1 for the most amount of time possible. I'm fully ready for the second part of Wicked to be called Wicked: Act 2.
Yeah, that's gonna be fun. Christian, did you see obviously the NFL schedules were released? Did you see the Jaguars creative teams release of their schedule?
No, but no, but did did you see the LA Chargers put Harrison Butker in the kitchen?
They had a lot of Easter eggs in that video, but that was
Which
just brilliant.
which which I think the Chargers and the Eagles social media teams are maybe the two best in the league. Because if we remember back to the Chargers reveal last year, they had that whole gambling call line joke
Mm-hmm.
in there, which was just immense. It was just immense, but great, just great stuff there, guys.
And I never want to tip the cap to the Dallas Cowboys, but they're just pretty funny.
Didn't watch it. We'll never watch it.
They did like the FaceTime TikTok trend where like you FaceTime somebody and then you just sit still and wait for the reaction. They called Shane Gillis and Don Staley for the Eagles games, and Shane Gillis answers and is like, "Yo!" And then he pans over and it's Joe Rogan in a cold tub, and Joe Rogan's like, "Yo!" And then Shane Gillis is like, "Go Birds!" And then Don Staley answers and she's like, "Yuck! The fuck is y'all doing?"
God bless Don.
Oh, so good. But the Jaguars did an XMen 97 inspired graphic and video because it is Jags 95 this year with all their 30th anniversary things going on. But it was very, very cool. I'll send you the graphic. It's awesome. It's like on a TV guide, and it has a bunch of the players and mascots looking like the X-Men. Also, I just love that I was correct. I've tried to tell so many people that the Nintendoverse Super Smash Brothers universe was going to happen. I've been on it for years and years and years. Chris Pratt says that the Super Mario Bros. 2 movie will help the Nintendo Cinematic Universe be created. You're welcome, America. I've been telling you this since like 2020, 2021.
Speaking of Super Mario Bros. 2, Danny DeVito, please come on down. No, but see, here's what we need to happen. We need them to put in live Danny DeVito in as Wario and not animated Danny DeVito Wario, because they're probably the same height.
100%. You know those videos that show like those thermonuclear like raging fireball type things that people drop, like those iron balls that are like 1,000 degrees Celsius. Somebody put it on a discarded skin of pineapple.
Yeah, I saw.
So at Nuclear Past on Twitter quotes me and said, "So fresh pineapple skin is suitable outer armor for fighting dragons. I've seen all I need to. No more testing needed." I said, "If only they knew this in King's Landing." I know you were excited about this. You sent me the screenshots. We got the first look at the Terminator anime series that's releasing on Netflix.
Okay, so I've got to unpack feelings on this. I don't know how to feel about this, because this is fundamentally different than the Scott Pilgrim thing. Because Scott Pilgrim was based on a comic book series, and they animated it like the comic book series. Well, a graphic novel, let's be honest here. And now they're taking the stuff from the mind of James Cameron, but James Cameron's not really involved. And they're making an anime that may just be a straight Terminator adaptation. And like it visually looks good. And it's going to rope me into at least watching the first episode or two. But really? Like, do we actually need this? And did anyone actually want this?
This is a bummer. Hopefully it gets picked up by another network, but the Silk series is no longer moving forward in Amazon. It went through 3 different versions before it was scrapped. Major request by executives, this blows my mind, was to change the show so it didn't focus so heavily on Silk. To be a fly on the wall in those meetings. Let's make a show, but here's the idea. Let's not focus heavily on the character that's named after. The fuck are we doing?
Groundbreaking idea there, Kyle. You could almost be a TV writer.
Look at that. Also, I don't know if you saw this, but Lord and Miller are now fully in charge of all the Sony projects for Marvel moving forward, which is all your Spider-Man stuff. They're the guys that work on Into the Spider-Verse.
Yeah, I know.
For everybody at home.
Yeah. Can they please kill the Sonyverse? Can they take Kraven the Hunter and do a tax write-off?
That'd be fun.
Because I mean this with all due respect, that they're going to lose an ungodly amount of money on that movie if they decide to release it. So just bite the bullet now, because as soon as you just go into more marketing costs on that, like you've already punched it 2 or 3 times, and now you're in December. Just tap out, guys. Just tap out.
Yeah. Cillian Murphy's now confirmed to return for 28 years later.
Which the irony in that is, I think he was in, and then it was reported he was out, and now he's back in. I'm kind of just like, make up your mind.
Surprising way, in a way that grows. Let me put it that way, according to Deadline.
So he's gonna be a fungus from The Last of Us. And that's the type of zombies we will get. The 28 years later, The Last of Us crossover. Thoughts, Kyle?
Sure. Why not at this point? Let's see. Have anything else worth noting? John Krasinski's If is now at 57% on Rotten Tomatoes.
Cheers.
And Oscar Isaac has been cast as Jesus Christ in the King of Kings animated movie. The film follows Charles Dickens as he takes his son on a multi-dimensional adventure to watch the fascinating life of Jesus.
Mhm. Again, things that I don't necessarily think we need, but we're getting.
Yep.
Let me scroll through my text chain with my friend to see if there's something I'm
I do have
forgetting.
this one that's interesting from a digital platform kind of scale and just like what has kind of become TV for some people. I don't know if you saw this or not. I'm sure you did, but Hot Ones and Chicken Shop Date have successfully been allowed to compete and get nominated for the Emmys.
No, that is interesting. Oh, Kyle, did you see the what I think is one of the greatest marketing things to be approved in a long time?
What would that be?
So for challengers, for this past Sunday, when we started the recording for this podcast, they uh, they had to buy two or more tickets for to buy two more tickets to see challengers on Sunday, May 19th, and get one free. And they branded it as make it a threesome.
Oh yeah, I did see that.
I God bless whatever executives signed off on that.
Yeah.
I applaud you all for getting away with that.
Chris Hemsworth will be getting a star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame next week.
Good for him.
And Cameron Diaz is back on the streaming platform screen. Her first film in 10 years, titled Back in Action, will release on November 15th on Netflix.
Cameron Diaz back in action. A sequel to Looney Tunes back in action.
God damn it. Let's see if I have anything else. Will Ferrell will star in his first scripted comedy series, Golf, where he will play a fictional golf legend. He is co-creating the series with Rami Youssef and Josh Rabinowitz.
But why?
You know what he says? Go fuck yourself, San Diego.
But why?
It's Will Ferrell.
I understand why Netflix does stuff like this, but stop. Like I at least respect you giving money to have Adam Sandler make Hustle, but we don't need Happy Gilmore 2. We don't need the abomination that was Hubie Halloween, which is maybe the worst movie I've ever watched. It's like, what am I looking at?
This is interesting from IGN and The Wrap. The first trailer for Daredevil Born Again includes, quote, bloody action sequences with Matt saying the, quote, whole system is against you. It's often David versus Goliath. Murdoch is asked, what kind of lawyer are you? And replies, a really good one, as he puts on a broken pair of his glasses. Which is really interesting that he's fighting somebody as Matt Murdock and not as Daredevil.
Really interesting to see. Did you see the whole thing about Stranger Things planning to use de-aging tech?
No.
Apparently, they plan on using de-aging tech to make the cast look younger again. And it's just hilarious because this is a show that's set in the past, and there's nothing more set in the past than having people who are not high school age play high schoolers.
Oh, I also have more to get you excited about Nicolas Cage's Spider-Man Noir. Steve Lightfoot, who worked on The Punisher, and Oren Uziel, who worked on 22 Jump Street, will work as the showrunners, and Henry Bradbeer, who worked on Fleabag, will direct the first 2 episodes.
Fleabag, yeah.
I think that's all I've got. Also, we had the queen herself from Philly's fandom, Sabrina Carpenter, on SNL in a Scooby-Doo scene that was very well done.
Scooby-Doo with Jake Gyllenhaal.
Yes. Which I was like, I could see that being real. I was like, Netflix execs are getting on the phone right now.
To be honest, I saw an image of her and I couldn't even tell that it was her.
Yeah, it was weird. Anything else, Christian, before we get up on out of here?
We've been talking for an hour and a half. My brain's toast. Your brain's toast. I think we're both good tapping out here.
So make sure you guys are following us on the socials at StreamerSZN and StreamerSZN Pod on TikTok. Follow Christian at the Wiz_PHI. Follow me at KBIZZL311. Subscribe to the podcast feed on Apple and Spotify. Subscribe to the YouTube channel. Leave a like on the video. Comment down below your thoughts on everything we discussed on the episode. Leave us your ratings for XMen 97. Get your merch at phiapparel.co and use code UNDERGROUND for 10% off your merch orders. And this has been another edition of StreamerSZN, the exclusive streaming platform TV and movie podcast on the Underground Sports Philadelphia Podcast Network. For Christian, I'm KB. We're going to go for one final time, sympathize with some mutants. But until then, we're getting the heck up out of here. We are signing off. Peace.